And now we turn our attention to our friend Milosz, who is going to be telling us all about his Android journey. My friend, welcome to the Blind Android Users podcast. This is probably my most important, most favorite segment of the podcast or episode every time that we have one. And I'm so thankful to you for
And
coming
besides my
on here
CSR
today.
episode, of course. And besides my
Of course,
CSR.
Miriam has to put in that CSR, the confusing
Yeah, it's your
screen reader.
favorite.
But frankly, I'm so thankful that we have you coming on to talk about your Android journey story, a segment that is my favorite. So, Miwash, welcome to Blind Android Users Podcast. Go ahead, my friend, and tell us about your Android journey story.
I am Milosz, known as VIP Potato in some communities, and my Android journey started from a Chinese PSP knockoff, which was like a game emulator all in one, and it was like in 2014, and it was running Android 4.0.4. And since it had a D-pad, I was only using that. I didn't use the touch screen because it was hard back then. And yeah, I was just doing different stuff there. Then in 2016, I've got for a few months a very cheap Prestigio phone running on Android 4.2.2. It was it wasn't much better because it had only 150 megabytes of memory, and back then apps were taking much more. So I couldn't install even updates for stock apps like Google or YouTube. No, there wasn't even a YouTube app, so I was forced to use a browser. And then at the end of 2016, I've got my Galaxy S7, and that was a really good phone for me, one of the best ones. It had everything I needed. And yeah, then in 2019, no, not in 2019, it was a year ago after my Galaxy was, yeah, it kind of broke because it got like curved. And then I've got a Huawei P30 Lite, which for me was a terrible phone because the launcher wasn't accessible for me, so I had to buy a Nova launcher. And now, a few months ago, I've bought a used Galaxy S10, which also was a really great phone, and in my opinion, one of the last great phones from Samsung, flagship phones, because it still had mini jack and SD card slot. I mean, S20 FE had that too, but it's just not a main flagship phone. Like, so yeah. And later I've switched to a 52s 5G, which is also good. And yeah, now I also got a Galaxy Watch 4, and I am really happy with it.
I love that you seem to be a Samsung fan because I am a huge Samsung fan. However, even though I was like really mad at them when they removed the SD card slot, so I agree with you on that. But I want to ask you because all of us as Android users have like funny stories to tell. So, what is your funniest story since you've used Android? Did you like face probably a weird situation where you should have acted a little bit differently, but you didn't? Any funny story to tell? It's always fun.
Yeah, so back in 2016, I was still a kid, and when I had that Prestigio phone, in the stock like internet browser, on different websites, you get that scam pop-ups when the alarm yells this alarm siren yells from your speaker, and it said that you have millions of viruses and you have to press OK, then scan your device. And I've once pressed it, and yeah, it turned
Oh
out
my god,
badly.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. That makes two of us.
Did you have to reset your whole phone after that?
yeah, and it was the worst thing because in Android 4.2 you didn't have an accessibility shortcut, and also that phone didn't have talkback built in. And
No, I
also,
remember those days.
at the first day when I got that phone, because I've got it after my sister, uh, I didn't have talkback because I didn't have internet access at that time. So I went with it to school, and I was just using it. I've remembered where everything is positioned on the screen, and I was calling people like that way, and I was answering by sliding my finger to the right, and it was
Oh
pretty
wow.
hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to use that for like 2 days, and then my friend installed TalkBack for me. So yeah,
That
That's
happened to
actually
me.
impressive that you could learn where to press for different things for a day or
Yeah,
two.
this actually like I feel like it's an advantage of old phones because you don't have you basically didn't have anything, just limited options. So that's why like you knew where everything is. It was pretty cool that way.
and speaking of Samsung, I really like the idea of like you have everything stored on your SD card, and you don't have to bother with switch, Samsung Smart Switch or everything like that. You just take off your pull out your SD card and you move it to your new phone, and you have all your files with you.
Taking away the SD card is a great way of Samsung shooting themselves in the foot because it's one of the things they had that Google phones haven't.
Yeah, but
So I'd
the,
like them to bring it back. I don't think they will, but I'd like that.
the thing is, I still remember when they were making fun of Apple about the mini jack, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and then they did the same exact thing.
There's something you mentioned earlier, and that was the fact that we, especially for phones that were not, made for the Western world or whatever, Chinese phones that just did not have accessibility in them, that was quite a challenge. And of course, even phones that were made to include the Western world, accessibility was a little bit hazy, wasn't it? Most especially if you miss enabling that accessibility during that first boot up, then of course you have to have someone help you go turn it on. And so when we had that ability of first enabling accessibility upon the first boot up, I think that was like, you know, uh, giving us a pie back then. I remember my ice cream device, and I tried that angle thing, drawing a rectangle, and I didn't quite get it. And so I just wound up just having someone enable accessibility for me after the setup and all of that. But then Jelly Bean was that revolutionary thing where we were able to use that two finger hold down. And I was so excited. I got the Nexus 4, I got the Google 7 tablet. I was just crazy, back in 2012. I went for both of those things, and it was so exciting. And so it's nice to hear your struggles and challenges that you had back then. And so now, which one is your current flagship, or I mean, driving main driver? You seem to have a bunch of them now that you have gotten the Android goodness, and you have gone to town. You are telling us earlier on how you have a collection of LG phones and stuff like that. Which one is now your main driving phone?
my main driving phone is now Galaxy A52s 5G.
Good. You kind of prefer that over the LG phones.
No, I didn't say that. If LG would still make phones, I would get them.
It's like You said the worst thing possible to them, like the absolute worst thing. Oh no.
Yeah, well, some people love LG phones, and LG had all kinds of idea. I think they were the only company that was not afraid to try new things. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
why
think
they
that,
failed.
yes, and I don't think that that's really what made them fail. I think that what really made them fail is because I don't think LG was pricing its things right. They kept wanting to be like Samsung, and you're not Samsung. It's just they didn't want to stick it to the competition to Samsung. Say, okay, you're pricing yours at 800. Here, you get ours for $500. I mean, Samsung was established, and of course, LG was established as well. Frankly, if we're to be honest, I don't know who came first. I had an LG flip phone as early as like maybe 2004 or 2005, and it was good. It didn't, speak, but I could navigate like the ringtones on my own and things like that. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah, speaking of ringtones, since like I'm an established musician, a professional musician, I really loved LG's. I still do, by the way. LG's ringtones and notifications. They were always unique in some way, so that's like a bonus point. I mean, Samsung does pretty cool things, but yeah, it's just, and I feel like the way they marketed this stuff was not really correct. Like they should have. I mean, any company who's like well, it's not Samsung basically or anything like that. They should just make the phones a little bit cheaper, and that's a point about Google too. And then when they start selling things, there people get excited. They can actually make it more expensive, right? But walk before you run, right? They call it that way.
It's like
Exactly.
Huawei, their phones are really expensive, aren't they? As
Yeah, and
well?
Huawei stuff. The earbuds are way more expensive than Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro. And I'm telling you, if I'm buying, and that's what I did. If I'm purchasing new earbuds, I won't go for Huawei. I will go for Samsung because I trust Samsung more, right?
Yeah,
So it's just a little bit weird to me.
it's strange, isn't it?
Uh,
Yeah.
Recently, LG has released in South Korea, of course, only a forever like collection of their ringtones because they know people like them. So they made vinyl sets with that ringtones, and they're almost all of their life is good ringtones, which I really love. So I've got that somehow, and yeah.
I need you to send that to me. I love this stuff. Like
There you
it's
go.
I love them. Like they're always so unique and different than anything else.
I also like them like changing different stuff that Talkback said, uh like different stuff were like said differently. Like you didn't have recent apps but recent screens. You didn't have screen lock but unlock cancelled or something like that.
Yeah, that's basically in the UI. That's the system. You usually get that in the system. That's not really a talkback thing.
Yeah, but I didn't see other manufacturers doing that. So
Yeah, because for the most part, Samsung does their own tweaks, but at the same time, they have like mostly a stock Android. So yeah,
Thank you so much, Miwash, for coming on today and talking about your Android journey. And we're looking forward to seeing you come back during our celebration. And again, we appreciate you for coming on.
of course
yeah,
I'll do it. It was a fun time here.
yeah. We were definitely honored to have you, and for everyone, invitations are for free. I mean, unless you don't use CSR, they're not. They have to pay $5 to get in.
She's got to push that CSR confusing screen reader in there.
No,
Confused screen
no,
reader.
it's not.
We can't even get through an Android Journey segment without her pushing CSR.
Exactamundo.
Come on, it's worth it, isn't it? Like,
Will we get a CSR when we buy tickets?
sorry.
Yeah, we'll be standing in line for tickets to, get CSR.
Yeah,
Confused screen
of
reader.
course. No, it's
Just
it's
it's
called the
just the free version of it that you get though.
No, I want It's the premium version.
Oh well, yeah. I can offer like 2 probably or something. But I mean, if you have to be using the screen reader for 3 years to get that.
Oh, I mean, I can't even afford one, so it's still good. So you can pay for mine.
Oh, okay. You're trying to reason with me now. I'll think about it because you don't use it right now. So
I'm willing to switch from TalkBack if you'll do that.
you're willing. Okay.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. But like, if you do that, now people will say like, okay, he's been using it for only 1 year. Why? Like, did you put this condition? Won't be fair, wouldn't it?